tomorrow. And tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day.
Monologues have been used in entertainment for a very long time, going as far back as William Shakespeare in the well-known monologue in Macbeth. This monologue was so influential that still today it is referenced in modern plays and literature.
Tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. I trust you'll understand the reference to another Scottish tragedy without my having to name the play.
Film and television monologues have been shown to demonstrate the same impact. Just look at The Matrix. Morpheus' monologue leaves a significant impact in both Neo and the audience, with the infamous blue and red pills becoming a staple reference throughout pop culture. While this is an iconic scene throughout, it is the action at the end of the scene, the offering of the pills, which demonstrates the purpose of monologues in modern film. Tolstoy argued that there are moments of waiting to see the effect of your words, which by leaving silence at the end of the monologue enables the audience to fully absorb and contextualize the purpose of the monologue. Where theatre uses monologues to allow unknown knowledge to be shared, film and television uses monologues as a statement of principle and moral worth for the character. Here we can see the Doctor delivering a monologue about memories and his own life, featuring shots of both him and the antagonist. The use of these shots allows for the audience to be moved by this monologue alongside shots of Clara, which makes the sequence fully encompass the whole message of the episode.
Feed on them, on the memory of love and loss and birth and death and joy and sorrow. So, come on then. Take mine.
Similarly, Hidden Figures features an extremely moving monologue about the struggles of black women. Acting as a vocalization of these struggles, this sequence again encompasses the whole subtext of the story. Joyce argues that inner monologue speaks to the subtext while the script itself addresses the physical elements audiences can see and hear. Due to film monologue acting as an outward expression of inner thought, this quote suggests that the subtext is the central focal point of the monologue. Katherine Johnson delivers a compelling monologue discussing how she walks half a mile simply to use the bathroom. However, the subtext is ultimately present throughout the scene. This is important due to Hidden Figures being released in 2016, which is when the Black Lives Matter movement was first gaining traction, and the subtext of the struggle of Black Americans being relevant in 2016, which helps to demonstrate the zeitgeist of the film. Going back to my previous point, the long silence at the end of the monologue enables the audience to fully absorb the information communicated in the monologue, as the outburst of the character forces the audience to reflect back upon themselves. Alternatively, Enola Holmes depicts a monologue about feminism during the 1880s, which is just before the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies was founded in 1897. This monologue acts as a culmination of the attitudes of women at the time, featuring lines like,
"You haven't any hope of understanding any of this. You do know that?"
and
"Because you have no interest in changing a world that suits you so well."
both of which are aimed at Sherlock, a fictional character which frequently depicted women as incredibly vulnerable. Furthermore, this happens exactly 60 minutes into the film, exactly in the middle. Aristotle argued that a middle follows something else and something follows from it, enabling the protagonist to reflect on previous actions and move forward from them. The narrative arc defines the action found throughout film. It demonstrates how characters start at a high point to then be brought down by the inciting incident, continually being brought to their lowest point where the monologue frequently takes place, leading them to change themselves and their actions, which ultimately leads them back up to the point where they started. Only now they have changed and gained knowledge that they didn't have before, which shows that they have reflected on their individual actions with the aim of allowing change. A critical evaluation spoken aloud to demonstrate character growth. Just how Elizabeth starts as a closeted governor's daughter and becomes the Pirate King, her monologue in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End demonstrates her growth from this
Oh, it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
to this. The monologue acts as a turning point for the character's perspective of themselves, and frequently characters change after their monologue. Elizabeth rallies her pirates.
"And what the enemy will see is the flash of our cannons. They will hear the ring of our swords, and they will know what we can do."
Enola follows Tewkesbury.
"Oh, you tickle me, Viscount Tewkesbury."
And Catherine pressures Al.
Calculations let this go, are you?
No, I am not.
Going from the lowest point of Aristotle's narrative arc, the monologue acts as an instrument to begin the ascent that follows. Elizabeth marries Will.
Elizabeth Swan, do you take me to be your husband? I do! Great!
Enola finds her mother.
This is a surprisingly nice room. I like the finishing touches.
And Catherine performs her calculations. Alternatively, the monologue also impacts the person it's delivered to, both the audience and the other characters. In all three previous examples, monologues are delivered by underappreciated characters to an audience of known professionals. Once the monologue is completed, they change their actions towards the protagonists, forcing the audience to complete their own narrative arc and show growth. The pirates follow Elizabeth.
Hoist the colours. Hoist the colours. Hoist the colours! Aye.
Sherlock stops chasing Enola.
Come on, Sherlock!
And Paul gives Catherine coffee. This demonstrates that the monologue acts as a turning point for the film. Frequently taking prominent position during Act 2 of the film, the monologue allows for both protagonists and background characters to reflect on actions, ultimately leading to character development. And the subsequent act. To conclude, a monologue serves to define the character's intention, enabling them to go from their lowest point to their highest points in the narrative arc, allowing the characters to transform from damsel to pirate, from daughter to detective, and from underappreciated to equal. The monologue gives voice to characters which at the time are reserved and allows for them to transform into confident characters. The characters frequently achieve their goals with the context of the monologue being the driving force behind it. An argument supported by Aristotle by him stating that if any one of them, parts of the film, is displaced or removed, the whole will be disjointed and disturbed. This argues that monologues are a vital point of the film and that without them the remainder of the film would fail to make sense. The film wouldn't impact the audience and the narrative arc wouldn't be completed. These clips have demonstrated that without a monologue the previous and following sequences follow to make sense. Which is why I believe that the monologue acts as a bridge between Act 2 and Act 3 of the film, enabling us to see the effects of the journey the character has taken and witness how it has changed them.